Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah is a member of the Senate Tea Party caucus. And Senator, thanks for taking a few moments. I know it's a busy day for you. I certainly realize that nothing is in stone as yet, but the framework is known. What's your opinion of this so far?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm encouraged by the fact that we've moved the debate in a meaningful way in the last 6 months. 6 months ago, there were people in this town talking about the need for a new stimulus package. Now we're talking about the need for a balanced budget amendment and the need to cut trillions of dollars in spending over the next 10 years, and I'm certainly happy about that. I have said from the beginning, since before I even took the oath of office, that I will not support any effort to raise the debt limit until we pass a balanced budget amendment. I'm glad that that is a discussion that we're now having. It does not appear likely at this point that we will be able to pass a balanced budget amendment in time for this round of debt limit increase to take place. But I'm going to continue pushing for that because I think it's absolutely essential that as we take on long-term debt, we need to have a long-term solution. And the only way to achieve that long-term solution is by amending the Constitution.
Yeah, but if the balanced budget amendment is not a part of the vote on this deal, would you still vote in favor of it?
No. Like I say, as I've said, as I've told my constituents,
so that's a deal breaker.
Since before I even got here, I will not support it because, again, we don't have any business raising the debt limit. Taking on new debt to the tune of almost $3 trillion in one fell swoop. Debt that will be on our books for far more than a decade, but debt that will be assumed and money that will be spent within the next 2 years.
Right.
Unless there is a comparable long-term solution. And you can't have that with simple statutory spending reforms because, as we've seen in the past, Congress has a way of waving its way out of those statutory reforms.
Well, look, I understand that you want this balanced budget amendment to be a part of the deal. But Senator John McCain, highly esteemed, obviously, in the party, the nominee for president, he said this, and I think he was talking about you and maybe a couple of others. It's unfair, it's bizarre, and maybe some people who have only been in this body for 6 or 7 months or so really believe that. Others know better. And in fact, less than 2 hours ago, Senator, he repeated that on the floor of the U.S. Senate. His reason is this. The balanced budget amendment requires 67 votes in the U.S. Senate, and a lot more thought and a debate needs to take place. And we can't do that now under a severe deadline. Are you telling me he's wrong about that?
Well, what I'm saying is that, as I explain in my book, The Freedom Agenda, we cannot fix this problem without permanent structural spending reform. And look, I like John McCain. I consider him a friend and a colleague, and I respect the fact that he has on many occasions taken positions that have at times isolated him from other members of his party. And he's stuck by his guns, even when he disagrees with other people, and I respect that. And from time to time, all of us go through that. And what I'm saying is we need a permanent solution to a permanent problem.
But look, the art of compromise is endemic in Washington, D.C. It's the only way anything can ever get done. And you would appear to have gotten 3/4 of what your party was demanding. The president initially wanted a debt ceiling with no cuts whatsoever. He didn't get that, so you prevailed on that. Then he demanded revenue increases as part of any deal. He's not going to get that, so you've won on that. Shouldn't you consider that as part of the equation in voting yes for this tentative deal?
Well, no, because as you heard Neil Cavuto say just a few minutes ago, most of the cuts that are now being discussed are cuts that will be made over a 10 or 15-year period. Most of the actual cutting will take place while a future Congress is in power. We'll have another Congress sworn in January of 2013, another one in January of 2015, and January of 2017, and so forth. The only spending that we actually control in this Congress is spending that occurs between now and January 2013. Yeah. And there's very little cutting that's on the table right now to occur right now. The only way you mandate future cuts, the only way you make sure that the perpetual deficit spending that we've been experiencing doesn't continue in perpetuity is through a constitutional amendment.
Well, now you've been talking a lot about what the people want, but I wonder if perhaps you're mistaken. I wonder if your party's actions have come at considerable political expense. I looked at the recent CBS poll that found 71%. Senator, disapproved of your party's handling of these debt negotiations. Only 21% approved. and that's about half of the president's overall approval rating. Isn't it likely that you may win this debt battle, but you're going to lose the war of public opinion?
No, I think the exact opposite is going to happen. Look, 75% of the American people want a balanced budget amendment. I was elected based on that mandate, and what happened in 2010 is just a prelude for what's going to happen in 2012.
You keep saying that number,
Senator,
but that number is in isolation. When that number is factored into a debt ceiling deal, that number drops considerably.
To 66%. 66% of Americans, when polled by CNN just about 10 days ago, said they support the cut, cap, balance approach, which is don't raise the debt limit without immediate cuts, intermediate term statutory spending caps, and a balanced budget amendment.
Senator Mike Lee, thank you very much for taking the time. We'll let you get back to that meeting, which apparently is imminent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.